Hi everyone, welcome to our podcast on adolescence and moral development. My name is Niamh O'Brien and I'm here today with Aisling, Sean, Emma, recording from the University of Limerick. Adolescence is a significant period in one's life. It ranges between the ages 11 to 25 years of age. The search for identity begins during these years of one's life. Identity refers to the organisation of the individual's drives, abilities, beliefs and history into a consistent image of self. It involves deliberate choices and decisions, particularly about work, values, ideology and commitments to people and ideas. James Marcia suggests there are 4 identity statuses. The first he calls identity diffusion. This is where an individual experiences confusion about who one is and what one wants. They have no firm direction and often end up with the wrong crowd. The second status is called identity foreclosure. Adolescents often accept and commit themselves to the goals, values and lifestyles of others, usually their parents, but sometimes it may be cults or extremist groups. The third status is known as identity moratorium. Erickson used the term moratorium to describe a delay in decision making or commitment to personal and occupational choices, but still considering options. The final stage is called the identity achievement. The individual has made choices and is committed to pursuing them after free consideration of alternatives.
Next, we are going to talk about the teenage brain in relation to moral development. Moral reasoning is believed to mainly function through the prefrontal cortex of the brain. Anderson, 1999, states that damage to the prefrontal cortex in humans results in impaired social and moral behaviour, as well as that general moral judgment and social and moral reasoning can also be impaired with prefrontal cortex damage. As we all know, every person goes through 3 stages within their life: childhood from 0 to 10 years, adolescence from 11 to 25 years, and adulthood from 25 years onwards. Scans of normal kids have revealed that different parts of the brain mature at different rates. In fact, some parts of the brain, such as the prefrontal cortex, do not appear fully mature until 24 years old. Other parts of the brain, like the amygdala, appear to be fully mature much earlier. Adolescents begin to make rational decisions if given time and access to information, but in the heat of the moment, their decision-making can be overly influenced by emotions because their brain rely more on the limbic system than the more rational prefrontal cortex. If you ask a teenager whether it is a good idea to get into a car with friends who are drunk, most would say, "No way." That's the prefrontal cortex talking. In calmer moments, the relatively slow prefrontal cortex is able to think abstractly and see the potentially dire consequences of driving when drunk. But, in the heat of the moment, the relatively more developed amygdala screams, "Just do it," before the prefrontal cortex knows what happened. The same process might play a role in teen violence, substance abuse, and even suicide.
Moral development contributes to the construction of an individual's identity. Teenagers face many experiences and situations where their morality is tested and they have to make right or wrong decisions. 2 theorists, Jean Piaget and Lawrence Kohlberg, contribute to the area of moral development. We will look more closely at Kohlberg's theory later on in the podcast. However, we will look at a scenario where morality is tested for students in schools. Cheating is a moral issue that occurs frequently throughout an individual's school years. Surveys done many years ago indicated that 66% of adolescents admitted to cheating on a test, and figures as high as 90% have been reported for university students. There are many factors that encourage students to cheat. There are individual differences, such as learners focusing on performance goals to achieve high grades and look intelligent, or often the case pupils have a low sense of academic self-efficacy and believe they cannot do it. Situations also do have a role in individuals cheating. They are more likely to cheat when they are behind or revising for exams and they are under pressure to do well. Teachers can have an influence on reducing the likelihood of such moral issues like cheating from happening. Teachers can introduce a flipped classroom whereby students teach each other the concepts instead of an exam. It focuses on the learning rather than grades of the students and removes the pressure of an exam. Teachers can identify the issues and difficulties students may have and work to ensure a deep understanding is held by all. The possibility of cheating is completely removed.
Moving on to Kohlberg's theory of moral development. Lawrence Kohlberg was, for many years, a professor at Harvard University. He became famous for his work there beginning in the early 1970s. Kohlberg's theory of moral development involves 3 levels: pre-conventional, conventional, and post-conventional. Within these levels, there are 6 stages, resulting in each level having 2 stages. Level 1 of Kohlberg's theory is the pre-conventional level. This level of moral thinking is usually found at primary school level. The first stage of this level is obedience and punishment, where people behave according to socially acceptable norms because they are told to do so by some authority figure. This is obeyed because of the fear of punishment. Stage 2 is individualism, instrumentalism, and exchange, which means people view that right behaviour is acting in one's own best interest. An example of these 2 levels are in this clip from Game of Thrones. When the prince's uncle tells the prince what is expected of him and that he must do it, he then quickly realises that it is in his best interest to obey his uncle's request.
Oh, I can't stand the wailing of women.
One word, and I hit you again.
I'm telling Mother.
Go. Tell her. But first you will get to Lord and Lady Stark, and you will fall on your knees in front of them and tell them how very sorry you are, that you are at their service and that all your prayers are with them. Do you understand?
You can't.
Do you understand?
Level 2 of Kohlberg's theory is the conventional level, consisting of stage 3 and 4. This level of moral thinking is generally found in society. Good boy, good girl is the 3rd stage. This can be characterised by an attitude which seeks to do what will gain the approval of others. This can be shown in this clip of The Simpsons.
Grade me. Look at me. Evaluate and rank me. Oh, I'm good, 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 and oh, so smart. Grade me.
Stage 4, maintaining law and order. The individual becomes aware of the wider rules of society, so judgments concern obeying the rules in order to uphold the law and to avoid guilt. Level 3 is the post-conventional stage. It contains stages 5 and 6. Stage 5 is the social contract stage. All fundamental values are universal in this stage. There is a rational contract about kindness and respect, and it is about the greatest good for the greatest number. Finally, stage 6. This is the universal principles stage. This means there is a personal commitment to universal principles of equal rights and respect. If there is a conflict between a social law or custom and universal principles, the universal principles take precedence. Next on our podcast, we're going to do a modern day take on Heinz dilemma. Caroline has been diagnosed with Huntington's disease. She tries to get the doctors to prescribe her something to ease the pain, but they refuse. Ash notices her symptoms as his mother died from the same disease. Ash wants to help her, but the only thing that will help is marijuana, which is illegal in Australia. What should Ash do? Ash should get the marijuana and not go to prison, as that would be unfair. Ash should not get the marijuana since he would be breaking the law. Or Ash should get the marijuana and accept any prison sentence.
Today we discussed the teenage brain, Kohlberg's theory, and Heinz dilemma in relation to adolescence and moral development.
Thanks for listening. Bye!